The next thing we're going to discuss is how to work in Python with files. So it's a routine thing when we want to store the data or we want to use the data stored in files. Well, we need to read and write files respectively. So the first thing is, to open a file in Python, it's very straightforward. Okay, f equals open, and then the file name, let me call it data1.txt. It doesn't have to be a txt file, and if we're opening it for reading, it has the option R here. That would open a file. Then the next thing, we create a string variable into which we can read the file while everything in it. So I can call it whatever I want. I'll call it the file content. And the function to read the entire file into it would be a read. So I do f.read, and then after I do it, I need to close my file. Right, and now I have my variable file content, which has the entire content of my file, and I can print it. Print file content. Okay, so I need to save this script. Files, we call it files.py, and also if I run it, it will obviously give me an error because no such file or directory data1.txt. Let me create this file. Okay, so I don't need anything like that. And I'm saving this file as not as a Python file, but as a txt file, right? So data1.txt. I'm saving it right here in this directory. Otherwise, I would need to use the full path to access it. And let the data be the following. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. And 3, 3, 3. Okay, so this is my file. Let me try running my script again. Okay, the script worked. It read the data and it printed the file content into the terminal window. Well, it's pretty boring to just doing that. Sometimes we need to take a certain part of the file content. So there is another function to do that. We can read file line by line and read it into a list. So if I introduce a variable, let's call it lines, you can call it whatever you want, and say f read lines, and then this will give you a list of lines, which we can print after that line by line. Print. I can actually start from printing just the lines, the list itself. So if I run it, well, it will give me an error because we closed the file here. So what I can do, I can move this further, and actually I don't need this. I don't need this anymore, and I need to close, well, I can close my file before printing the lines. Okay, so if I run this, it should work, and it printed me a list of my lines. Look, for each line of my file, it printed, well, a string, well, with some character in the end of the string. And this is something I wanted to discuss. This is what's extremely important. This is one of the escape characters, the special characters used in Python and in other programming languages to do certain things. For example, this /n escape character is the character to make a new line, the line feed character. So let me show some other examples here. All right, so I can, first of all, I can comment this all and show you some examples of escape characters. So if I do print hello world, right? the script will just print me hello world as it is. If I add an escape character here, for example, /n, it will print hello, then it will start from a new line and print the rest of it. So there is a space here, so it prints this space and world. Right, there are other escape characters. For example, the carriage return character. So this is how it's going to look if I run this. Well, it prints hello, then it returns to the beginning of the line, and on top of it, it prints world. So basically, the word hello is simply overwritten. If I had a longer word here, this carriage return would work slightly different. So the first 6 characters are overwritten, but the rest of this word survived here. Well, after the word world. So another escape character would be a tab character. So I can do /t. I'll remove this space. All right. So if I run it, it will print me hello and then the tab and then world. So be careful with tabs and spaces, because space character is a space, right? And then tab is the special character /t. So another character would be just the / character. If I do 2 slashes and run this, it will, oh, I apologize, I need to remove this T from here. Yeah, so hello /world. Well, in order to make a slash, I need to put these double slashes. And a couple more is the quotation marks, right? So if I want to have a quotation marks here, if I want to print it, I need to use the / and the quotation mark. So this will print me hello world in single quotation marks, and if I want double quotation marks, I need to do /quotation mark. Why does it do it to me? Okay, hello world. I think, yeah, one more, maybe the last one is the backspace character. So that's so if I do that, it does a backspace. It goes one space back and overrides the last character here. So if I do it several times, it will override several characters. All right. So now, well, the whole point of bringing this example was to explain why what we printed from this file had these /n in the end. If you will be writing a file, you would have to, well, add these escape characters to have the new line in your file. So this is what we can do. In fact, let me first, before writing a file, let me first go back to these. We read lines, then we print these lines. There is actually what we can also do. We can print it line by line. If I use a for loop for len and lines, print len, right? And that would print me my file content line by line. All right. So let's discuss an example of writing a file. So what I want to do here, I want to read a file, then perform certain operation on my file, and then to write the resulting data in the new file. So let's start from the file I have and do the following. I can introduce new data. This will read my file. If I want, let me comment this out. Okay. And well, let me say what I want to do. I want to read data from file, skip the comments, right? We have here, for example, in our scripts, we use comments, and sometimes when we save data in the file, it's also convenient to use comments. Let me give you an example. So let me copy that, create a new file, and I want to add some comments to it. I want to say my coordinates, right? It's three numbers which could stand for x, y, and z. So I'll call it my coordinates. A simple example, right? And this helps us when we go to this data file to figure out what is it about, what does it have, and however, when reading a file, we can easily skip them. So let me save it as data2.txt, and let me go back to my script. Okay, I want to read the data, I want to skip the comments, and I also want to write it to a new file. Let's say, let's write the squares of those. Write the squares to a new file. Okay, data. Then I do for line in file, which I'm opening a file now. The file is data2.txt, and I'm doing it for reading, and I do read lines. Okay, so I'm reading this into this list. This will give me a list, and for each line in this list, I'm doing the following. So first of all, I'm checking if this line is not a comment. So if not, and then the line shouldn't start from the number character. And well, actually, there is a function for a string. We can check if the string is starting from something. Now, alternatively, we can say, well, if the 0 element is not this specific symbol, but if line not starts with and then the symbol which I want to have, then, well, this will let us skip the comments. Then I do split lines is my new variable, which will be a list split line. It will be the result of splitting a line into separate words. Oops. So then I do n1 is the 0 element, right? Split line 0. N2 is split line 1, and N3 is split line 2. Okay, and then after that, I want to append it to my data. I do data append, and then add it as a list, right? So N1, N2, and N3. And I can print the data after that. So if I run this now, oh, file is not okay. In for line in file read lines. What does it? Oh, why does it not like it? Okay. File. Oh, because it shouldn't be a file, it should be open. I need to open this file. Okay, so this is the correct one. So for line in open file, it reads it, it splits it into, well, separate words, right? It removes the spaces. and prints it as a list. Well, the only thing, that way we're getting strings, right? We're getting the characters, they're in quotation marks. So one thing I would need to do, I need to convert them to float. Okay. Float. And that way I will get the list of floats here. Okay, so it's treated now, they're treated now as the floating point numbers. All right, so we collected our data to a list. So now we want to make a new file. Let me call it new f, which will be, I need to do open, then the file name, let's call it just new file.txt. And now the option for this function will be different, right? Instead of opening it for reading here, I'm opening it for writing. So I'm opening the file, I'm going to write in this file, and then, well, I can add a line of comments here as well. So do new file write, and write some comment. This is a comment. And then I can do for each element in my data, and for each item in my element, because each element of the data had several points, I take these item and I take these items squared, right? Item equals item squared. And, well, I can print it just to see what I'm doing, right? But overall, I need to write it. I need to write it to the file, and what I can do, I can say new file dot write, and then I need to work with a string variable in order to write it to a file. And do new file write string, and then new file, I want to separate them with a tab, right? So I add these escape character /t, and then after I'm done with each line, so after I'm done with this loop, I need to start from a new line. So I do new file, write, and write the escape character, which will be my new line. And after that, I need not to forget to close the file. New file, close. All right, let's run this script and see what it does. So, well, it read my data, I printed my data here, and then after that, I'm printing the squares of each of my data points. I'm printing them here, but also I'm adding them to a new file separated by tabs. And of course, well, each line, each three numbers starts from a new line. Let's see what I get for this new file. It should be somewhere here. Okay, so how did I call it? I call it new file.txt. So here's my new file.txt. I can open it, and well, actually, let's see what I got. Oh, I know what the problem is. That's quite instructive, right? I said that the first line is a comment. This is a comment, but I forgot to add the /n after it. So what I have to do, well, with that I'm writing the second line right after it. So I need to close this file. I need to go back here, and I need to finish my comment with a /n escape character. I'll run my script again, and if I open the new file now, well, it will look exactly like I want it to look. So all the information is written in a separate line, and the first line is my comment.